woman leaks urine involuntarily when they cough, sneeze, laugh, exercise. This happens more so when they hit about age of 35-40. Men do have incontinence, but men have it after a result of surgery or other procedures which are done. Women are more predisposed to such a type of a problem, which not only poses a health problem, it also poses a hygiene issue. It is very embarrassing to talk about it even with your own friends and family, so women tend to keep it subdued. They do not approach for clinical help on their own. Only if they read about it or somebody talks about it in the neighborhood would they develop any guts to even discuss about this issue, and then they come forward for treatment. I think there's a lot of stigma attached to it, and the main aim of this Apollo Continence Clinic is to create such an awareness in the society so the stigma is broken and people come forward with the problem and get on with the treatment so that a good outcome can be achieved. Urge incontinence, where there is an irresistible urge to void and there is a leakage involuntarily of the urine in an appropriate time or place. This is a very, very common disorder, can affect young children and can even lead to bedwetting problems. I'm sure most of you would have faced somebody in your lifetime who had this problem but do not know where to go to get it treated. It's very embarrassing to talk about it, so people don't talk about it. Mixed incontinence, where there can be a component of both the stress incontinence and the urge incontinence. Overflow incontinence, when there is a blockage to the urinary tract and typically like a tank overflows. This happens both in elderly women and elderly men. Nowadays, we are all having a life expectancy of more than 65 years. So our problems are now of senility and aging. This is not something like balding where you accept and say it's because of aging and do nothing about it. Definitely, this can be treated and a very good outcome can be achieved by treating these conditions. And neurological problems, especially now men and women living into their 80s and 90s. Yesterday I saw a woman aged 103. Her main problem was bedwetting. So we do see these women quite a lot of times nowadays because of the increasing life expectancy. Associated with it comes the risks of stroke, Parkinsonism, dementia, Alzheimer's. So they have this urinary incontinence problem. They are not to be doomed in nursing homes in diapers. We can help them and give a very good quality of life for the remaining days so that they can be content and happier. So this is just a pictorial representation in layman terms of to understand what this continence means. First, on the grid is a normal bladder where there is no leakage.
Talent within the Apollo group, but Indians at large make make wonderful doctors. So when Meera said that we're doing a lot of gynec work, but we need to do specialist work because she screened a fair amount of people. I think 400 or 600. I'm not sure. 400 people, and the data said that 65 of the women who were screened were silently suffering from urinary incontinence. It's a horrible thing, Many of us will know that somebody in our family has a problem like this. They just suffer, they're embarrassed, and what happens is that they don't go out, they don't lead a normal lifestyle. They just silently sit at home. It may be your mom, it may be your sister, it may be an aunt, but always there will be people who have such issues. A lot of it is with women, it is with men also, but I think the women suffer. And there really wasn't any planned intervention, no clinical pathway to deal with this problem. You could Google, you would probably get some answers, you could see a gynecologist or your family physician, and they will give you answers, but there was no specific targeted, point of care, targeted system of care, standard of care for this problem. It may seem like something very small, because today I was so happy in the newspaper, it spoke about how a heart transplant was done at the government hospital. That girl is doing fine. High-end, complicated surgery being done in a government hospital, fantastic outcomes. So I think we've proven that high-end complex surgeries are possible. The systems are there, equipment is there, people are trained. But maybe we are forgetting the fact that, a lot of small things, that also is success. We still the largest number of cardiac work is done within the Apollo system. But still, we as an institution should not forget that there's a lot of small interventions which also make a huge difference in people's lives. And I think today is about that. Today is about the fact that, something very small, an intervention which is not super complicated, very expensive, or, which talks about a hospital stay for a long time. But that little intervention is making a huge difference in people's lives. I personally know a lot of people who've had it, who've come back and said, we really thank you. It's made a huge difference for my mother. It's made a huge difference for my wife. People have come back and thanked us. And that is why we said that, why don't we do this clinic? Why don't we spread the awareness that people don't have to silently suffer about something like this? Because it's an awful problem to have. And it happens not because it's genetic, it happens just because of, it just needs care. As simple as that. So I think that's really why we're doing this. I know on one side we talk about high-end, futuristic, genetic medicine for cancer. Then we talk about, multi-organ transplants. We talk about, implants, 2 knees done simultaneously, this and that. Why is Apollo doing something like this? Because we feel that if Apollo stands up and says that something like this needs to be done, will be done, others will follow suit. So if 200-300 women get treated with us and they're happy, others will then follow suit, and you'll see a few thousands of women who have an option of this kind of treatment. So this is the first continence clinic which is being started in the Apollo group, and I know, knowing all my team players in the group, that once this stabilizes and it's successful, we will start the program everywhere else. We do the largest health screening program in the country, maybe even in the world, because our aggregated volumes are like huge. All the women coming there will then have an option. At least, when we take down their history, we will ask them this question and give them this option, so that it may just be simple exercises, not necessarily surgery, but that will make a difference. If it is a Botox, very simple, day office procedure, that's what it is. If it's a teething, a little bit more than that. But all these options are available, and I think we as responsible people, both from the media and from healthcare, we have to let people know that they have options. I think that is really why we are all gathered here today. As always, thanks to the press, the media, electronic, written, for your support, because consistently you do that for us. And if Apollo is what it is today, it's for 2 reasons. We have fabulous doctors, and the media has always supported us. And I think I'd like to thank you for that. And I hope that whatever Meera has started, because I know she's a fantastic doctor, that it will grow and more people will really get the benefit of this kind of treatment. So good luck, and I'm just so happy to be with all of you today. Thank you. Thank you.